Hello, welcome back to the Willa Wanders channel on YouTube, and we are here for another round of Mixed Media 101. The subject of this video is going to be the gift of a limited color palette. So one of the things that I've noticed for people who decide to take the plunge into fodder school is that for some of us, limiting our color palette is really scary because most of us love all the colors. Well, I've never taken a survey, so I don't know if most of us love all the colors, but some of us, many of us, love all the colors, and we don't want to be constrained in any way. So this is going to be a video where I talk about why you might want to narrow down your choices, at least for a while. And I also want to show you that this ends up being not as limiting as you think it's going to be, and potentially very, very exciting to the point where you're going to see it as a gift. Okay, so it's my job in this video to basically show you what can happen if you limit your color palette. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. This was my Fodder School 1 notebook, and I chose colors based on my two favorite colors in the world, pink and green. Now, after a lot of soul searching, a lot of contemplation, a lot of talking with other artists about this, I realize now that the reason I'm drawn to pink and green is because of happy childhood memories of being in my bedroom. And my bedroom was decorated in pink and green. It was probably decorated in the late 70s, early 80s. My mom chose everything, and pink and green was really popular. It was sort of the age of Laura Ashley and these pink and green florals. And so my room was pink and green. And it was a very happy room, and I liked it very much. And I didn't realize that when I came back to making my own art after decades, but I was very attracted to pink and green. There was another color that I was attracted to that you're going to see show up in my work through the last 4 years, and that color is turquoise. And there's a whole other story about turquoise, which I don't know if I'm going to get into now, but just know that turquoise was not a favorite color of mine in the past, but through the decades, I have been just exposed to more and more and more turquoise, and it's really grown on me as a color. And it also happens to be a really great color in the pink and green color scheme, because if you think about turquoise, it's really a blue-green. And one thing about this quote unquote limiting of your color palette is if you decide that your favorite colors are blue and orange, let's just say, it's not limited to one blue or one orange. It's all the blues and all the oranges. And then, of course, all of the neutrals that you can create from blue and orange that you mix together, and you have literally endless colors. So there's nothing really limiting about this, in the sense that if you choose colors that are going to be your signature colors, that does not mean that you are limited to like one version of pink and one version of green. No, 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 no. You've got literally hundreds of each color. So this was me in the beginning. And now what I want to show you is something that I created in year 4. So we had some lessons on these mixed media mushrooms with Tracy Wozniak, more than marmalade, more period than period marmalade on Instagram. And I was still sticking with my pinks and greens and my earth tones. Even this color, yellow ochre, this is going to feature prominently in my work in later years of fodder school. So these colors are not the pinks of here so much, but they're kind of pink verging a little bit on purple, and purple's not something that I gravitate toward, but it just kind of happens. And here's all the greens with the browns, so many different colors of green. And I've never gotten tired of working with these colors that I love, but you can see how they're not the same pinks, and they might not be the same greens that are on here. But the magic is that when you keep working with all of the color A and all of the color B, when it comes time to combine your collage fodder, which is what we make in fodder school. We make a lot of papers. I'll show you some that I made recently with Tracy. So we make a lot of decorated papers. So this is all the pinks. You've got the yellow ochre and you've got brown in there. Even kind of tending toward a little bit of green here with some of it. But I've got a wide variety of pinks in here. I've got neutrals in here. I've got that yellow ochre. Here's even another kind of pink, like a magenta pink, which I started using a lot more of in year 3, I think it was, when Julie Hamilton was our instructor. So paper that you make, painted papers that you make, these are considered collage fodder. And we make a lot of that in fodder school. But we also make a lot of pieces parts. So things like these mushrooms, this is also collage fodder. Because what it is it's food for your crafts. It's food for your art. So we make a lot of food in fodder school that you can use in different projects. And it just, if you stick with all the color A, all the color B, plus neutrals, grays, browns, that kind of thing, and also different tints and shades of each color. So it doesn't mean it's just that tint of pink. You have every range of value of each color that you choose. What happens is you start getting to a place where it becomes very easy to put together work like this. Because you're working in those color palettes, or that color palette, all the pinks and the browns and that yellow oxide. And you might have pieces like this. This is an Art Foamies stamped onto just plain paper that's fussy cut, and Suzanne Randers, who's very involved in fodder school, designed this foamy. And it just coordinates perfectly. So even if you make too much collage fodder, it's okay because you're going to use it. So we made these mushrooms in October of 2024, and I'm using them on these tags that we're now trading in April of 2025. And it all just comes together. It always comes together because I have so much excess collage fodder in the colors that I gravitate toward. Now, you may notice that I'm not using any of the turquoises and the teals in here because that's another thing that's beautiful about it. You don't have to use all of your colors that you choose every time. You can even limit yourself further and say, okay, this month for me, it was like this month I'm really going to focus on all the pinks and all the browns and some of that yellow oxide. And maybe next month I'll be like, okay, I'm kind of done with the pinks. Now I want to focus on all the greens, and I'll do chartreuse greens and mid-tone greens and all the turquoises. And I love when that comes together. So actually, look, here it is. Here's where this color palette came into focus with Julie Hamilton was this month. So this was, oh, it was actually Fodder School 2. It was the end of Fodder School 2 where I started adding in the magenta. And for me, it was easy to add in magenta pink because I was already in love with pinks. But I was using a lot more browns this month, a lot more of that yellow oxide, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. You can always work in black and white. Here's a time where I was focused a little bit more on all the greens with the neutrals. Here's some more pink and yellow coming in. That was Liz Constable. Here's a mix of all of it, so you can actually have all of it. But all this collage fodder that I've made through the years, I could use any of it on any project. Here's a month where I just focused on the greens. I was like, I'm not doing pink that month. I'm just doing greens. Here's a month where I did all of it. So I can't even tell you how thrilling it is to work in this way and to really get excited by what I create in the colors that I love. And I never, ever get bored and I never feel limited. I only feel excited that I get to, not that I have to, but that I get to use all of what I've made from all the different years in Fodder School, no matter what the project is that we're working on. If I want to go and pick out some fodder that I made 3 years ago, it's not an issue at all. It's going to coordinate beautifully. So maybe your favorite colors are purples and greens, and you want to use all the wide variety of purples. Purple is an amazing color. All the blue purples, the red purples, like there's so many purples. And then add that with the greens. Purple and green would be an amazing, amazing color palette to use. And then add in all the grunge and the just, oh God, it's very exciting. I love collage fodder. I love what we do in Fodder School. This is sort of, you know, a little bit markety, salesy toward Fodder School, but really I think it's just a great thing to show people about the magic of a limited color palette and how, no matter if you're in Fodder School or not in Fodder School, it is magical to limit yourself. As much as it feels difficult to do, there is something that I almost forgot to mention. And this is such an important part of the whole experience of quote unquote limiting your color palette. And that is the purchasing of supplies at an art store or online. When you have a very specific idea of the colors that are your chosen colors, you can begin to collect materials in those chosen colors without stressing out, because you know that you're going to use these things. So for me, with my pink and green and turquoise color palette, I can go to any art store and I can say, oh, I need acrylic ink for this project. I'm going to get all the pinks, or I'm going to get all the greens. You know, maybe not everyone, but the ones I like. I'm going to get all the pinks I like. Or maybe the next 3 months later, it's all the greens I like. And you end up using those things over and over and over again. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I have purchased a new bottle of this Daler Rowney fluorescent pink ink. I think I'm on my 3rd or 4th bottle at this point. I just use it up. So then if you want more pinks, here's a quinacridone magenta. Here's another quinacridone magenta. This one is from Michael's Artist Loft. It's called Pink Rose, and it's a totally different pink color, but it's gonna look great with my palette. So it's another way that you can save yourself a lot of headaches, but also get yourself a magical result, is by just collecting the materials that you use in projects in your color palette and having this variety of whatever your color is in the materials that you use a lot. And surprisingly, acrylic ink is something that actually comes up a lot in mixed media art. And I've got you know, I don't have all the colors of the rainbow. I don't have to invest in all the colors of the rainbow. I've just got my colors that I really like. So I've got a lot of browns, I've got some greens, and mostly a lot of pinks and a little bit of that yellow ochre. So, okay, did not want to forget to mention that. If you're having trouble choosing what your colors are going to be, I just recommend looking at color, like anything. Could be you go shopping at a store that has housewares. Maybe it's like a TJ Maxx or a Home Goods like we have in the United States. Go there and look at the pillows. Look at the dishes. See which items just light you up, and they just make you feel like, "Oh my gosh, I would love to have a room in my house that was decorated in those colors. They make me really happy." Those are your colors, and you can start thinking about, what is it about those colors that I love so much? Maybe there's a childhood memory in there. Maybe there's a happy childhood memory in there. So yeah, that's my plug for limiting your color palette. It just works. It makes your mixed media life, it makes your art life a lot easier when you do it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video.